Alrighty, this is my buddy's bike, old electro-forged Schwinn, and he wants me to butcher it and put some BMX dropouts on the back. So all you Schwinn Nazis, you're going to cry. I'm going to butcher this frame. I got 2 words for you. Fuck you, alright? Sick of your shit. This is not the finger bone of St. Thomas Aquinas. It's a fucking bike. Cut it up, have fun with it. I got these, which I was using for something else, and I kind of messed them up, and we didn't finish the project. So I think these are good candidates. These are original genuine bike products dropouts, but we changed the curvature here, and my buddy never got around to finishing this with me, so whatever. Anyway, I think that's a good template to BMX it. Want to keep it kind of in line with the frame, not to deviate too much from the sacred electro-forged Schwinn geometry, which if you've ridden enough of these things, you know it's pretty spot on. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start by trimming this off here because I want to keep this cool shape and then integrate it, the dropout, in here after I modify it, and then I intend on brazing them because I think it'll fit with the look, kind of keep it a little more homogeneous. All right, let's butcher this thing. Yeah, die, bitch. I've successfully ruined this bike. Let's move on to the next part. Alrighty. I'm keeping that one on there for now for reference, and it's kind of like that. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that has a really cool shape if I put it right there. It has these speed holes in it, but I'm gonna omit those, and I think I'll just trim it and then suck it in like so, and it kind of keeps it in line with the dropout, the factory schmactory dropout, maybe a little higher. You want that. It has nice bottom bracket drop, but then this thing, I may need to trim that a little because then the lug nut will get in the way. So I'm thinking there it looks good. Yeah, I'm just going to trace my cut like so. Right. And then I'm going to cut the dropout. I'm going to cut these two shapes out. I'm going to cut these two shapes out. And then it should just plug in there in theory. So that's the plan. But we all know how plans go. So that's the next step. I'm going to do one and see how it looks. And then I'll copy this side and put these together and then clean them up so they're homogeneous. So that's the next step. So I'm going to cut inside this shape and then slowly work out. If you cut it that wide, it's obviously way too wide. And I use this very accurate marking tool that marks a lot. So you got to take all this stuff into consideration. Okay, it's tricky, and you just get it as good as you can, and then you can use good old metal fatigue to help you get the rest of it out. Probably just then we have to hand file the rest. This one I did a little slice in it, and it helps create this scenario here. High tech. Okay, that's a rough cut. That's probably hot as Hades, so we'll just let that fall to the ground. And oh look, one of those like bottle standing up moments. It's very exciting. See it? Oh my god, 1 in a million. Piece of shit. All right, let me get the frame back in there and do the next step. Okay. Pretty close. So I think I'm just gonna hand file the rest of that out and then kind of made it in there. Gotta go slow, obviously, because it's once you do sacrifice too much material, then you've got some backtracking to do, and you can fix that stuff by adding some weld and filling it, but that's time consuming. This way, good. So that's what I'm going to do next. Real boring. Put the dropout in the vise and file it for like 19 hours and then it'll be done. And I think I'm not going to record myself doing that just because, it's about as exciting as watching golf. Yeah. All right. There it is. A little too much up here. The rest of it has got a bit of a gap, but that can all be dealt with. You can layer the brazing material in. I think that looks pretty good. It's kind of still keeping in line with the factory dropout. It is a little lower here. And what that's going to do is push the head tube down a little, it may take 1 or 2 degrees off the head tube angle, which will change the handling characteristics of the bike, but overall I'd say it's pretty darn close. So I'm cool with that. And then I've got the other one, and then now I can get in there and copy and paste that, and then clean all this up and weld it. So we're coming along here. So what I do is, now I've got a shape, and then I use a couple pairs of vice grips, and I hold this symmetrical, and then I can trim this shape with the cutoff wheel, and the second one will be a lot easier than the first one because it's kind of a weird shape. I could put it in my mill, but it would take hours to set the tools up and everything and figure it all out. It's one of those things. I mean, you're hodgepodging. You gotta like use hand tools and stuff like that. That's okay, you know. And back on like the collector thing and keeping these things pure, you know, BMX and mountain biking wouldn't exist if people didn't take old Stingrays and Cruisers and modify them and turn them into something else. And that creativity we owe to enjoying those kinds of bikes, which I enjoy thoroughly, BMX and mountain biking. I'm very avid. And so, you know, yeah, let's cut up some Schwinns and make cool shit. All right? Yeah, like so. These are going to be a little harder. See, so now it's pretty close. I'll go in here and file and get those even as I can, and then swap this out for a flap wheel and just go around the whole dropout when they're together, and then that makes them pretty close to identical. It's not super accurate, but every bike frame you've ever ridden is not straight, you know, so it's okay. You're asymmetrical, your bike can be a little asymmetrical, but I'm going to put it all in my frame fixture, and then that'll get it pretty darn straight, and then I can straighten it on the straightening table when we're done. So that's where we're at. Alright, they're kind of in place. I have a dummy axle and I put it in the fixture and it'll get it all aligned. I may have to do a little more tweaking, but I just kept trimming and trimming until I could eyeball it and see that the dropouts are, you know, not cattywampus just by eyeballing it. And if I could do it by eyeballing it, then when I put the tools in there to get everything really straight, yes, Mamau, it'll be good. And so that's where I'm at right now. I need to pull the fixture out and clean all the paint off of here and clean these again, and then I can start welding them into position. But they did look pretty bitchin'. That's kind of like flows with the line of the frame and stuff. Okay, so that's where we're at. All right, back at it. I got them in position. I'm going to try to tack them with the torch. You know, we'll see about that. What do you want, cat? Try not to melt my fixture. That remains to be seen. Oh, see? That's why I said maybe. Ugh, right. Oh. Out of practice. Oh, Jesus. That guy doesn't know what he's doing. You're right. He doesn't know what he's doing. I am an intermittent welder. All the forms. So, forgive my incompetence. I don't want to ruin my fancy fixture. So I gotta be careful. Get down there. Ah. Just want to tack it. Get it hot enough. Put a tacky tack in there. We have uncharacteristic, very humid heat going on right now in the San Fernando Valley, Southern California. Don't like it. I don't know. I've been back east, and you can keep that shit. You can keep it. Okay. Let's see here. Try to get it right there, I guess. Squirrels. There are 9,000 squirrels in my backyard. They're cool. I like squirrels. I also have possums and raccoons and my cat. So I have an ecosystem. Get that to go in there. Yeah, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Get that in there. Maybe if I can get it one more point. Down here. The dropout's really thick. I gotta really heat that bitch up. Okay, let's do this guy. Same thing. Accept it. Okay. We have a tack welded deal. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill all that. I'm going to take this peak out too. I should have done that ahead of time, but I don't know. I just got off work and wanted to get on it and not get lazy. You know how that goes. So, let that cool for a minute. And there he is. What do you want? I'm going to take it out of my fixture and then put it in the vise and then finish it off. And then it should be done. Okay. More welding. Now I can lay it in there thick. There's 238,312 videos on how to weld, so I probably don't need to tell you anything. I've done very little of this kind of welding, so I'm still in the incompetent stage, I would say. It's fun. It's a lot more kind of zen, I guess, relaxing than MIG or TIG, especially TIG. TIG, you really gotta pay attention to what you're doing. I mean, you have to do this too. You don't want to burn the shit out of yourself. Just kind of heating it up. And when it gets hot enough, it accepts the fill rod. And there's tricks to it, like anything. Pretty cool. I quite enjoy the brazing, actually, and I look forward to getting better at it. Kind of just keeping it in theme. I think it would look kind of weird with the dropout MIG'd or TIG welded when the rest of it's brazed. So I got some big gaps to fill too. That's technique. So it's good practice to figure out how to do that. You can certainly do that with a MIG or TIG welder. See, that's all filled up. Just drawing it right in. Yeah, it may be too big of a gap with that hole there. I may have to trim that. I think I'll leave that for last and assess it. Once it gets hot, it goes pretty quick. Try to pull it with the torch. Trying to burn my shop down. I should have put these little guys here for use. Alright. Let's see if we can get some of this, and maybe I can just trim a little bit of it off. See how good we get. Filling it. Let's move to this guy. I'll have to flip it over. Hickory dickory dock. Welding away. Fun. If you want to get into this kind of stuff, these gas tanks are probably the least expensive way to go. Probably find some used ones somewhere and cheaply. Man, I tell you, just go for it. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes and make some ugly stuff, and you'll get there. I'm still making ugly stuff like 20 years later. So what? But you're having fun. I think it's way better than catching up on Mork and Mindy reruns or whatever the hell people do. I don't know. No idea. But what a better way to spend the evening after working all day in a bike shop to work on some more bikes. Why not? I ask myself. At least I still want to. Most people in my profession, ooh, that heat wave. Most people in my profession, the standard trajectory for a bike shop owner is a joyless curmudgeon. So I try really hard not to wind up like that. I'm not saying that I haven't been curmudgeonly in my time there, but I certainly work against it as best I can. Okay, alright. Let's see what we're dealing with. That's pretty cool. But that, I don't know. I think if I stuck a piece of metal in there, maybe I could fill it. Maybe I'll try that. That's just too much of a gap. I think I should just cut that piece. How am I going to get in there? I don't know. I'm going to let it cool, and maybe I could put something in there. I think I could hit it with a hole saw. I farted. I don't like that. That's got to either be filled in here or it's got to go, because that's just ugly. I don't like that at all. Flip it over and do the other side. So, putting the flux on there after it's already been heated up is going to do anything but melt the flux, but yeah, what the hell. Oh, that works. Sure, I know what I'm doing. Alright. Round 2. Get that thing going. Okay, the SD card got full, so I skipped ahead. I went in and cut these little guys out and reshaped these a little, made them look a little better. So I'm really just finishing this off at this point. I know I didn't film that step, but there's a little, I want to put some more weld in there just to fill it up a little, make it look a little better. So that's my plan. See how it goes, since I'm not really good at this stuff. Getting the torch right. A little bit of a sizzle I found is it's about where you want it heat wise. Just gonna get this hot and then feed some brass into it. Because I tried to check my email this morning and I have a really old computer. Frickin' Yahoo Mail, man, just stops the whole thing dead. I have to let it think or whatever the hell it's doing. It's aggravating, and I should buy a new computer, but I'm a cheap bastard, so I'm gonna just suffer through it. Also, I try really hard to only go on the internet 3 days a week because it's just a time vampire. There's so much to do. Just from what you can see in the camera, just cleaning and organizing this space would be a big project, and I am working on doing that with my space in general. So, among other things, and I was working on my truck this morning, like finishing it off, and then the radiator sprung a leak after I dealt with 2 coolant leaks and a bad motor mount. And I got all that sorted out, and I was just letting it warm up to let the motor fill up with coolant and everything and let it cool down and top it off, and then it sprung a leak. So I was like, okay, well, there's one more thing to fix. Not a big deal, but more time, more money. So it goes. There's always something to do if you're a busy person, and I think really have a zest for life. You won't be sitting around wondering what to do with yourself. You'll be figuring out how to make it all happen. That's just my opinion. So, as I'm working on this, pool, there we go. Pool some of this stuff in there. Yeah. Probably a lot of it's sinking through to the other side. Still figuring all this stuff out. I want to kind of get that gap to disappear. Not a gap, but just a pocket, I guess. There we go. That's more what I was after. Okay, good enough. Way better. Alright, I'm going to let that cool and clean it up and just kind of show you the finished product. Not super awesome, but you know, it's a clunker. There we have it. Alright, there it is. Schwinn, I believe it's a DX. And we put the BMX dropouts in there. Find it. Yeah. So the original would have been roughly on this side, like this. No, this roughly. There, about. No, I'm not sure. Maybe this way. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm unsure about that. It looks weird. Okay, now I see what I'm an idiot. Okay, now I see what I'm doing wrong here. Roughly, whoop, don't fall over, bike. I guess this one's inverted. That's for the other side. But roughly there. So it's pretty close. So that's good. These are good, you know, sturdy. That's good enough. Looks cool. So there you are. There you have it. That's my awesome filmography. I'm sure you're thrilled. So yeah, just go out there and, you know, don't worry about the value. The monetary value of this stuff is completely immaterial. It's the fun that you have with it and how it enhances your life that is the real gold, the real currency. All the time people look at stuff I have and go, that's worth money, that's worth money. I'm all, what about enjoying it? Like these bikes, or I have a lot of old punk records that are worth a lot of money, and I don't care, I want to listen to them. And I have a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff that's now amazingly worth a shit ton of money, and it's like, well, I still use that stuff. So why would I want to sell it? I have a job, make money. Save your toys and enjoy them. You never know when the end is coming, so don't waste it chasing stupid dollars. That's it. Thanks.